fucking sick and tired of this, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good, man. Good day of football. A little bit sleepy. I took a little 10-minute nap at 10:10 till 10:20 to have myself awake, and here I go yawning already. It was a great day, man. The Oregon, Iowa, the Penn State, Indiana, the Washington, Wisconsin, like the Big Ten gave us a show today, and it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty entertaining. So I'm looking forward to talking about the games. How are you?
Well, speak for yourself. That
Outside of being
Wisconsin,
sick.
that Wisconsin Washington game was not entertaining at all. It was ugly and disgusting, and I'm kind of sad it was in my quad box. But that's the life of the YouTube TV customer now without ESPN.
Yep, sadly, the quad box doesn't amount to anything anymore
No, and
because
then
Sling doesn't have it and Fubo doesn't have it.
nope, it
Utter
sucks.
disappointment.
It sucks, and I don't know that it's gonna get resolved. So you know what? Whatever. That is what it is. Fuck you, ESPN. You're not getting my money. But yes, we
Apparently,
had what?
apparently, DirecTV has a quad box.
Oh well,
If you do
that's
the DirecTV app,
we used to do
so
the DirecTV app and it kind of sucked, and I will not be going back to that.
yeah, I'm just gonna live with YouTube till they figure this out.
Yep, yep.
And I'm just thrilled that the teams I enjoy watching the most are not on ESPN. So it works out fine.
Yeah, that's true. Notre Dame's on ABC next week, but I will be on a fucking airplane for that game, assuming I can get on an
So it
airplane. So
won't matter.
it won't matter. I'm pretty sure, unless Delta. I think Delta has DirecTV, so I'm pretty sure I'll get to watch that as long as the Wi-Fi is working. So good for me on that one. But yes, we had a boy, was it a day of incredible games in the Big Ten. Well, at least two incredible games with the two marquee matchups, which is what you love to see. A couple of last minute game winning touchdown drives leading to favorites pulling out the dubs today. We'll start in Happy Valley, Indiana 27, Penn State 24. There's something about Penn State and losing 27 to 24 on last minute plays. I think that's like the third time in the last year
Heartbreak,
for them.
Heartbreak Valley instead of Happy Valley.
This game was, holy smokes, was it incredible. It looked like for a moment in the first half that Indiana was going to run away with this. And then I don't know what happened in the second half or what happened at halftime, what Terry Smith and the interim staff at Penn State said to those guys in the locker room, but they came out swinging in the second half. And look, people are going to say what they want about this game. Penn State's not good. I know they have talent. They're not a good football team. They've lost six straight games. Their starting quarterback is out. They fired their coach. But I think both things can be true at the same time here with Indiana. Getting into a dogfight with a team that just got smacked by Ohio State, albeit it was on the road, it's not great. And I don't think there's a way to necessarily sugarcoat that. But at the same time, you need your adversity tested throughout the course of the season to test your mettle, because IU did not have that last year. They beat the crap out of a bunch of shitty teams. And then when they got hit by Ohio State, they just did not have an answer. And then they got hit by Notre Dame, and they had such little of an answer. Their coach punted at midfield in the fourth quarter when it was a 17-point game. So I think from the Indiana perspective, like, it's good to get smacked around a little bit to see how your team responds. And they're up 20-7. They let Penn State go on a 17-0 run in the second half that sees them down by 4 points. They get the ball back. They have to punt it away. Their defense needs to get off the field, and they did. They have no timeouts, so they have to go 75 yards. And Fernando Mendoza leads an incredible touchdown drive without arguably their best player on the field, with Elijah Surratt not playing in this game. And they come out ultimately unscathed, Clinton. Just what were your overall impressions of watching this game?
Omar, oh my, what a toe tap TD
Mm-hmm.
to seal the game, man.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some pretty phenomenal catches this year, and just looking against Penn State in the past 2 weeks with Jeremiah Smith's tip pass TD to himself, and now Omar Cooper getting. I have no clue how he got that in there. The Penn State player did
Yeah.
everything he could. He shoved him out of bounds.
He moved, and his
And
upper body moved, and his
somehow,
legs didn't
yeah,
move.
and somehow he touched his toe.
I
And
just they showed the close-up replay. You could have shown me like every far away replay, and for the life of me, I never would have been able to tell you that his left foot got down before his right foot. The way
Yep.
that he kept it up and floated it was one of the craziest things I have ever seen on a football field.
Yeah, when they called that a touchdown, I'm like, okay, let's see the review. He pushed him out of bounds. There's no way. And they zoomed in, and oh my God, Gus Johnson also, he needs some voice work after this game. The past 2 weeks
But
with
he,
Penn
he
State.
needs a he needs a new pair of pants after that call.
Yeah. It's Heisman Mendoza. He gets his Heisman moment, led the game-winning drive. Shouldn't need one in the upcoming weeks here with the remainder of their
God, no.
schedule.
Nope.
But you mentioned Eliza Surratt out. Obviously, Cooper had the big TD, but Charlie Becker comes up huge for the Hoosiers today with 7 catches and 118 yards. Aiden Fisher returned 9 tackles, recovered a fumble, picked off a pass. My impression of this game was Indiana showed great resolve, and this is what championship teams do. There's a moment in every team's season where you have to overcome something. And you and I both, I believe, thought Penn State was going to get railroaded by Indiana in this game.
Yep.
I thought Indiana would do everything they could to outperform what Ohio State did last week to continue to say, hey, look, we beat the similar team, but by more points, we're better. Impressive win, man. Sad for Penn State, sad Valley. This is now their longest losing streak in 21 years, Ryan. And I'm impressed by their fight. You mentioned it. They were down 13 in the third quarter, and they fought. I thought it was over. I'm like, all right, this is done. We can kind of tune into some other stuff. And I kept it on the side TV. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. This has to go on the main TV. Ohio State has to be muted so that I can finish this game.
Yep.
Impressed also by Cignetti. He is the third coach in the last 50 years to win his first 10 games in his first 2 seasons. Can you name the other 2 coaches, Ryan? I'm hoping you didn't see this stat today.
Their first 10 games in their first 2 seasons.
In the last 50 years.
Ryan Day. Is that right?
I'm just waiting for your second one.
Oh, I don't know.
Then I'll tell you.
Not on earth wouldn't even have a place to begin to think with the second one.
It is not Ryan Day. I thought it would be Ryan Day. It's not.
COVID year. Yep.
Yep. Urban Meyer and Larry Coker, 2001, 2002, the Miami Hurricanes.
Wow.
Urban was 12-0 in his first season, but not bowl eligible. And then in his second season was 2013, went to the Big Ten Championship. They obviously won their first 10 there, but then lost to Michigan State to miss the playoff. We didn't have playoff yet then, right? No, it was 2013. Playoff was 2014. They got the first playoff win with that one.
Yep.
But what resolve by Indiana. That's about as impressive as they can get. Caleb, who comments to us sometimes on this show and follows us as a big Indiana fan, I texted him, I'm like, what a play. And he goes, that was sick. It was just, that's about all you can describe it as. And the ghost of James Franklin continues to loom over Penn State, and he's not even there. They still cannot win against a top-ranked opponent. Can't do it.
Yep.
They're cursed, man.
Yeah, you mentioned Charlie Becker. Coming into the game, he had 7 catches for 157 yards total on the season. He doubled that catch output and nearly doubled the yardage output with Elijah Surratt out. So you need guys to step up over the course of the season, and Indiana got that in this one. I thought
we're gonna get to that in our next game we talk about. What Oregon needed to step up today, and
for sure,
both those teams. Let's reference Indiana. Sorry, Indiana. We worried about last year. Or coming into this year was depth because last year didn't have it. And I feel like in the past 2 weeks with Fisher being out, needing another linebacker to step in, Surratt's out, need another receiver to step in, they're showing more depth this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm impressed. I'm excited to see what this team has. As I said, Indiana would be punching their ticket to the Big Ten Championship. They're not losing a game. They're on their way to Indy.
Yep. Defensively, they were really good in this game. You know, you let Nick Singleton at a 59-yarder, but otherwise you bottled up the Penn State running game in this one. Katron Allen did not have a good game at all in this one.
That fumble, man.
Yep, and then same thing with the pass too. You had a Trevor Pena had a 49-yard catch and run, but other than that, they did a good job limiting explosives. I do think the concern for IU in this game is is a good Penn State front, but they're still without Tony Rojas, and I think it's a little concerning that for large swatches in this game, not only was the pass not working for them, but most of the game the run was just not working either. And when you get to a postseason setting, that's the kind of front seven you're going to be facing. You're not going to be getting the, UCLA's and Northwesterns. It's going to be front sevens like that, but better.
Every matchup, if you
Every
advance.
matchup.
Every
And
matchup.
that is still a concern with me to this IU team is how are they going to stack up against a team that betters them in talent and physicality. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but I'm with you. I mean, they have Wisconsin and Purdue, and we'll get to Wisconsin in a minute, and neither of those teams are touching Indiana. This team is going to be 12-0 playing in Indianapolis. I would be floored if they were not.
Yep.
So good for the Hoosiers. You got over your last road bump for the season. Don't blow it. The other big game on the docket, we had Oregon 18, Iowa 16. The noise pregame with this one was there were a lot of rumors swirling around injuries within the Oregon program, namely around Decorian Moore and Kenyon Sadiq, and that ends up being true. Neither of them played in this game, and that certainly plays a role in this one. You also had Gary Bryant go down early in the game. He got rolled up on, so not a lot of pass catchers out wide for the Oregon passing attack, which probably doesn't help you in this one, and the weather certainly doesn't help either. And I got to say, Clinton, that's 2 straight downpour games for Oregon. If we get 3 straight with this, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, the advantage for them is they're going to at least be at home.
I don't care about them. I don't care about they were at home for Wisconsin. I just don't want it to get. I don't want to get rained on next week, man. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I think this week was worse than what they had last week.
It looked nasty.
Or 2 weeks ago. That was just
gross.
It was cold and rainy. It wasn't just rain. It was cold and rainy, and that is not a situation I want to be in next week. I'm just hoping we get a flight out there. That's all that matters to me. I put my 3 keys out there on Thursday, Ryan. Key number 1 was Iowa needs to be able to pass. Well, nobody could pass greatly in this game because of the rain, but Gronowski had more passing yards than Moore, 138 to 112. He also had 1 TD, and Dante Moore had 1 interception. The key for Gronowski here is he hits the 40-yard pass on 3rd and 5 from the Iowa 12 that led them down to that 93-yard TD drive after Brad and Gary had just said, do you feel confident that Iowa's offense can get themselves down the field 93 yards? And they're both like, no. And they did it.
Yep.
And it was huge. My next key was, can the Hawkeyes get to the red zone? They did, and they scored. If it's death taxes and Oregon letting you score while in the red zone. Turnovers, we mentioned it. Both teams were, I believe, +5 in the turnover battle. Oregon 1 interception, Iowa 2 fumbles. And, I believe it was it Wetjen that had, or Weetjen, however you say his name, had the costly fumble that everybody thought he recovered initially, and then he did not have the fumble recovered as the Iowa Bear Alexander finally makes a play in his career and pulled the ball away from him. But the unsung hero, man, Atticus Sappington. 3 for 3 on field goals. It's a wet, slick field. But I also want to shout out Iowa kicker Drew Stevens. He had a 58-yarder in this mess of weather, man. That was a hose he put on.
Oh my God, it was a piss rocket.
It was beautiful, beautiful. And then as we mentioned in the last game, the big one that hurt in this one was early in the game, the botched snap on the punt that resulted in a safety. It's 18-16 final. How many times do those things come back to bite you in the ass?
For sure.
And they had back-to-back times on punt. They had trouble with the snap. They had it the snap before, but he got the punt off, almost got it blocked. I believe they had a bad snap with Gronowski, and it was just snapping issues for what you usually see for a Ferentz team is their special teams doesn't have those kind of issues, so clearly a weather impact. But, Ryan, your thoughts, kind of where Iowa turns here. They got to turn around, travel to USC next week with a big battle. Oregon doesn't certainly get any easier. They got Washington and USC left also on this schedule. Iowa is clearly done for the playoff hunt. Are you concerned at all about Oregon with Washington and USC left on their schedule?
Maybe not so much Washington now, but definitely USC.
Let's see, Washington's fine. They're playing on the West Coast and they're playing at home.
That's true. They're playing at home. Well, they might have some of their own injury issues that we'll get to here in a minute, but I don't know what to make of Oregon, man, because it's kind of like the same thing we talked about with the
the Wisconsin game 2 weeks ago. I just don't know how much stock to put into a game where the weather looks like that. Obviously, both teams play in it, but that's just not a straight up football game at that point. It's about limiting mistakes. I thought like Oregon ran the ball exceptionally well in this game. It wasn't super explosive, but they did a great job of rotating backs, keeping guys fresh, knowing that it was going to be a game like that where you were going to need to run the ball consistently. And I don't know how much of the passing thing in this one. Dante Moore was just perfectly fine in this game. I think he had like 113 yards passing, but I don't know how much of that is, well, your two leading receivers are out and then probably your best healthy receiver gets hurt early in the game and now you just don't have the depth of guys to throw to anymore. But it's kind of something that we've talked about or at least I've talked about for a couple shows now with Oregon, is just like they need a go-to guy on this offense. And that's why, because you get in a game like this, you got to give the ball to someone. And I mean, you win the game still. I guess it doesn't really matter as much. But I mean, overall, just gutted for Iowa fans, and this is no disrespect or shade to Oregon. This is just an incredibly gutty performance by both teams, but we've been saying all year that Kinnick is where the dreams go to die, and that's why we said it, because games like that happen. And
well, technically, a dream did die in Kinnick tonight. It was just Iowa's dream.
That's true. And I always get the laugh of people who are talking shit on Twitter all week, and then a game like that happens, and then the winning team's fans are like, update. I'm like, you're going to fucking brag after a game like that? That was ugly as hell. Like, that's not a game you're bragging on there by any stretch of the imagination. You survive in advance. That's what you do. But for Iowa now, this is a team that has 3 losses on the season, Clinton, and they have all come in the final 2 minutes of the game. You had the Iowa State field goal to lose 16-13 right out of the 2-minute timeout. You had the 49-yard pitch and catch from Mendoza to Surratt with about a minute and a half left against Indiana. And then the last second field goal here. It's bad luck. You can argue, though, that you make your own luck. And the common theme in these games is, Clinton, the offense isn't really helping you. But it's been the defense that just can't make a play at the end of the game. They played great all game. They were really good in this one. I think running the ball, the run defense maybe left a little bit to be desired in this one, but needed your defense to step up and make a play at the end again, and they just couldn't get it done. We did talk. I mean, I want to shout out here too. We talked about that Omar Cooper catch, that Dante Moore pass. I think it was to Trey Benson on the last drive.
Yes.
That might have been the pass of the season. The way he just he had no room for error on that one, and he just dropped it into a.
He had 2 of them. I mean, the one to Benson, elite, but he had, I mean, the whole drive. It was a Heisman moment without being in Heisman contention. He took his team in a slop fest of a game right down the field and got them set up perfectly for the game-winning field goal. And that's what you expect from championship caliber quarterbacks, and that's exactly what you're getting from Dante Moore. Also, speaking of quarterbacks, TJ Lateef must have tuned into our podcast, and he said, "Fuck you guys. I'm 6 for 6 for 119 and 2 touchdowns."
That is an efficient day. And then I mean, you got to give a shout out to the way that Tim Lester called and Mark Gronowski executed that last drive. There was a couple busted coverages, which helped, but it just feels like if Iowa could have bottled that up a little bit more consistently throughout the course of the game, maybe they're not needing a defensive stop on the last drive there.
You know, I asked you about Oregon. My concern for Oregon is going against the USC passing attack.
No, I agree.
And you're getting busted coverages. Again, I know the weather. You're getting busted coverages against a team who can't really throw the ball. And USC can sling the rock. Now, USC may not be able to stop you at all when they're on defense. We might have a 50-something to 40-something shootout. But Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby
shootout, though?
I think I'd trust UCLA or USC at this point.
I agree.
Because it's not just like points.
It's not just like the raw material that USC has. It's just the way that they can deploy it too. They can go long, they can go short. They use misdirection pretty well. They have a running game that can keep you honest. This is going to be a tough matchup for Oregon. They're going to have to match point for point with USC in that game. And again, we're not talking about an impenetrable USC defense by any stretch of the imagination. But that's going to be a tough game for Oregon. They do have it at home, which is nice. But
it sounds like, per Dale's most recent article, it's expected Evan Stewart's coming back, and he might be back as soon as next week for the Minnesota game.
Crazy.
And Decoria Moore, it sounds like he is short-term injury. It's nothing long-term, and they should get him back this season. And I don't know if that one was from Dale, but just general speculation from what I was trying to read. So that's great for the Ducks, especially if Evan Stewart, now again, patellar tendon, quad tendon, whatever he tore, that's a hell of a thing to come back in one season. And Evan Stewart's ability last year was to be explosive. So hopefully for him, he's as near of 100% as he can get for this season, and give the Ducks an extra boost because they're going to need it playing USC.
Clinton, let's talk about this game. Wisconsin 13, Washington 10. This game was a mess, man. The stat of the day is Wisconsin used 3 quarterbacks in this game. Danny O'Neal started, but he took a shot to the head on a run and he left. I'm assuming he was in concussion protocol. I did not have the sound on for the entirety of this game. So
ESPN listed that, carted off for a leg injury.
Oh, he literally took I don't know how they didn't call targeting on it. He literally got headbutted in the face.
Okay.
So in comes freshman Carter Smith, who is the 3rd quarterback to play a game for Wisconsin this year if you're keeping score at home. He played most of the game. Hunter Simmons, I think he got a series in the late first half or early second half, and then they put Carter Smith back in. But despite playing 3 quarterbacks in this game, Clinton, their leading passer was punter Sean West. He had a 24-yard completion on a fake punt. He was 1 of 1 for 24 yards. The 3 other Wisconsin quarterbacks combined to go 5 for 17 for 24 yards.
Ryan, in the Ohio State game, he was the leading rusher for them. Here's the Wisconsin game plan. Just feed the punter.
Just pull the punt team out on first down. You punt it every now and then on first down. Keep them on their toes, but they never know what's coming. I think we're officially at the point with Washington, right, that we can say that they have a significant road problem under Jedd Fisch. They're 2-7 on the road under him. They lost to a team in this game, Clinton, who had scored 1 touchdown their previous 3 games. Granted, they did only score 1 touchdown on this one, but only 3 in their previous 5. So that's now 4 touchdowns in their last 6 games, yet they just beat you. This is Wisconsin's first Big Ten win since the 19th of October, 2024. The first Big Ten win at Camp Randall Stadium since the 5th of October, 2024. And their first win against a ranked opponent since 2021, snapping an 11-game losing streak to ranked opponents. For Washington in this game, Denzel Bart, he didn't get carted off. He kind of hobbled off the field, and then they carted him to the locker room. It looked like a lower leg injury, but he came back in the second half. He still looked hobbled. Jonah Coleman left, too. He was hobbling off the field. He only had 5 carries for 2 yards in this game. So that's 2 of your 3 best players who did not really factor in the second half. But they just looked like ass the entirety of this game. Just did not look cohesive at all. They were always, I don't know what they do on special teams, but it seemed like every time I was seeing a drive starting, they were starting inside their own 15-yard line. Wisconsin had them discombobulated in this game, man, and their defense has been fighting hard all year. Mm-hmm. They hold Washington to 117 yards rushing as a team and 134 yards passing for Damon Williams. And, I mean, they didn't get a lot offensively in this one, but I believe, and then Washington's touchdown came after a block punt started the drive at the 1-yard line. So, I mean, Washington did not do fuck all offensively in this game, which is somehow about as much as Wisconsin did. And Wisconsin gets it done, man. This was ugly, though. This was ugly.
I believe, wasn't it raining at one point and then it changed to snow?
I don't know if it did for the Notre Dame game. I don't think it changed to snow for this one, but it was definitely raining. It was raining pretty hard in the second half.
Well, in addition to Boston and Coleman both being hurt, and Washington's played most of the game without their starting center Landon Hatchett and their right tackle Drew as a party. So missing 4 key pieces on the road against a team whose defense has played well all year, even though their offense is ass. Not a great recipe for you. Also, given the stat that Ryan just told you about how they're 2-7 on the road under Jedd Fisch, not good either. If you look at the yards per pass, Ryan, it was nuts for both. Washington, 4.2 yards per pass. Wisconsin, 2.7 yards per pass. And both teams put up a measly average of 3.3 yards per carry running the ball. You want to talk about setting offense back 30 years. Watch this game, man. Emmett Johnson is an absolute monster. He just scored again.
Do we have a quarterback controversy in Lincoln?
Dude, Nebraska is cooking the Bruins, 28-7. Emmett Johnston with his 3rd TD of the game, 1 on the ground and 2 through the air. How about that? Emmett Johnson should be climbing up draft boards rapidly. He can run, he can catch, and he can pass block. Get him on your board, folks.
That was a great throw.
But overall, man, I put at the top here, I said, they did it. They really did it. The Badgers get their first Big Ten win. And then, of course, death taxes in Washington underperforming on the road. I don't know, man. Like, you're obviously not going to fire Jed Fish. This is a really good season.
No. You
but
still
he's
have a
sure
chance.
as hell not going to Florida performing like that.
No. Well, and that's like kind of the discussion that we had. I mean, I don't know if there was an actual discussion, but the point I made about them a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the coaching carousel is, given where Washington is geographically in relation to the rest of the Big Ten, that's a hard job because of the travel that entails with it. And if you go to a place like everyone talks about, the SEC's more coaches want to go there because that's where the best players are, yada yada yada. But the travel there's a ton easier, man. They're all in the same. That's an actual fucking geographical conference. It's not like the ACC where you have teams in Texas and on the Atlantic coast and for some reason Bay Area, California, or the Big Ten where you have California, you have literal teams on the Pacific Ocean, and then the Midwest, and then the Eastern Seaboard for some reason. SEC, man, they're all within like a 3-hour plane flight of each other, man. That's not bad travel, and Jed Fish has not cracked the code for road games in the Big Ten, man. They're losing to some bad teams too, man. Like, this is just an inexcusable loss. You come out, you're ranked in the playoff committee rankings. You get some respect with that. You're 6-2. You quite literally control your own destiny for the playoff. If you win out, you're probably in. And then you lose to one of the worst teams in FBS football. That's bad, man. That's the type of loss that you cannot have. And it's like, I agree with you. It's not like the type of loss where you sit there and I know you're going to get the fucking message board post where it's like, fire everybody. But that's not the type of loss that puts you on the hot seat because you're 6-3. And
you're one. If you don't lose this game, you're one. All you have to do is win out, and you're in the playoff.
Right. And I mean, I think like even if you lose to Oregon, you win your other 2 games, you go 8-4. That's still a building block of a season from last year. But you better win 2 of those last 3 because if you're 7-5 or 6-6 again, man, there's going to be some conversations in Washington because that's a fucked up way to end the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough one. You got to eat, man. I mean, the one thing I will say, at least Washington used Damon Williams' legs in this game.
They didn't have nothing else going.
Well, but I mean, if you go back to the Michigan game and you use his legs, you probably beat Michigan on the road.
And I would say, too, a lot of his yardage was on scrambles after he ran around in the backfield for 7 minutes.
QB legs or QB legs?
Let's talk about another West Coast game. Go back to Friday night. We had USC 38, Northwestern 17. Clinton, this was actually a really good game for the first half. Until
the ending of it.
There was quite literally 2 drives in the first quarter. Each team went on a long touchdown drive. They each traded a pair of long touchdown drives early. But the turning point in this game was late in the first half. Jaden Maeva threw an interception to a defensive lineman. He made a hell of a hustle play going to tackle the guy heading towards the end zone. He knocked the ball loose. It goes through the back of the end zone for a touchback. USC gets the ball back. The very next play, King Miller rips off a 55-yard run, and 2 plays later, USC is in the end zone. A quite literal 14-point swing in the span of like 2.5 minutes. And then Northwestern got the ball to start the second half. USC forced a punt, went on a 91-yard touchdown drive. Northwestern answered well, but settled for a field goal. USC got another touchdown drive. It's 35-17 at this point, and pretty much the game was over at this one. I do think we do have to give some credit to the USC defense here. We've documented well on this show what Preston Stone has not really been able to do against Power 4 defenses, but again, good job holding him in check. You deserve credit for that. Caleb Komalafe got his in this game. He had 118 yards, but outside of that, not much else going for Northwestern on the ground. They only had 130 yards on the ground as a team. And the big story of this game was the bounce back by the USC offense. Jaden Maeva was very good in this game, 24 of 33 for 299 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, was picked off once. King Miller had 127 yards on the ground, and Mekhi Lemon had one of his best games of the season, 11 catches for 161 yards. And they got Jacoby Lane going. He had 74 yards as well.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown for both of them. This, to me, Clinton, I think is going to be the most fascinating watch the rest of the season. That is USC, because I don't think it's going to be a ranked game against Iowa next week. Maybe they fall out. Maybe they hang in there. But you get them at home. You don't at least have to go to Kinnick, but then you're in Eugene the weekend after that, man. And I think if you win those 2 games, you're going into the last week of the season against UCLA with a chance to clinch a playoff berth, man. I think USC is at the point we'll see where they jump to in the rankings this week after this win, especially with the chaos that's happened around them, right? Virginia's going to fall. Louisville's going to fall. If USC's up around that like 16, 17 mark after this game, I wouldn't be surprised. And if you're up at 16, 17 after this game with what's left on the schedule, man, you have a clear as day path to the playoff with Oregon still in your way there too.
Yeah, and if you dump Oregon and then Oregon decides to dump both Minnesota and Washington, the Big Ten's looking at 4 teams in the playoff most likely. Shout out Northwestern. I continue to be impressed by the Wildcats. Obviously, the fumble out of the end zone before half completely changed this game. Would they have won it? I don't know. But when it kind of breaks, sometimes, football's pointed on both ends and it bounces in weird ways sometimes. Stone, again, was solid. You mentioned Komolafe on the ground, but he led the team in receiving with 5 catches and 40 yards. He's an absolute dude, man. Northwestern has a really good running back, and it sucks that it cost Cam Porter for them to find this out, but Komolafe is very good. There was a first in this game, Ryan, and it was the first time this year that Northwestern's allowed a 200-yard passer. So
wow.
Congrats to Jade Maeva. You figured out a stingy Northwestern defense. Lincoln Riley was in his bag with play calls in this game. The Mekhi Lemon rushing touchdown was extremely creative. He just proves to be damn near unstoppable. I said damn near because he was limited some in the Notre Dame game. Again, weather played to that. Notre Dame's defense played to that. But
you didn't do
every
shit
week,
last
man.
week either.
No, I mean, I guess I should give shout out to Nebraska's defense as well. But those games are going to happen. But for the most point of this season, he has been fantastic.
Oh, you jinxed him, Clinton. It's 2nd and 18. You said shout out Nebraska's defense, and they just gave up a 50-yard touchdown pass.
Well, thank you for ruining that for me. On a little swing pass, too, of all things. Anyways, 2 things here. Can Northwestern find one more win? They have Michigan, Minnesota, and Illinois. They get Michigan and Minnesota, I believe, both at Wrigley before finishing at Illinois. I'm putting Michigan on upset watch for this week. Bryce Underwood's going to have to pass the ball because if they don't, Northwestern plays really good defense, man. Your offense is not USC's. You're not explosive.
Agreed.
Northwestern will be able to hang with you score for score in this game because it's probably going to finish like 21-17, 24-21, something like that. And Michigan's going to find out how good their run D is because Komolafe's coming in and he is red hot. My other last point was the difference between USC this year and USC last year is this USC team finishes games.
Yep, for sure.
And that, looking at the past 2 weeks with Nebraska and Northwestern being the 2 latest examples of that, this team choked away so many games in the 4th quarter last year and couldn't figure it out. And they have turned a corner. They're a good team. This is an impressive win for your Notre Dame Fighting Irish right now. It would be really something special if we drew this game again in the playoff. That would be pretty fun to see. Obviously, USC is likely not going to be hosting that game. It would be back in South Bend unless it's somehow in the 2nd round and it'd be at a neutral site. But USC's hot, man. I'm excited to see what they give Oregon and Iowa next week. Iowa's going to play really good defense and be sound. They're going to try to punch you in the mouth running the ball, but Gronowski proved that he can make some plays, and he is elusive. Yes. So USC has to be on their tackling game. Oregon did a really good job tonight getting him to the ground and limiting his running ability. USC needs to do the same thing. Congratulations, though, to the Trojans. You're looking like a playoff team. You got one big test left, and that's Oregon. So we'll see what happens.
Let's go to your neck of the woods next. We had Ohio State 34, Purdue 10. No Carnell Tate in this game. It sounded like it was just a precautionary thing. He was dressed on the sidelines. He just did not play. So ho-hum, Jeremiah Smith goes 10 catches, 137 yards. I only wrote down one thing for this. The backdoor cover by Purdue was just disgusting work in this game. I'm truly fucking disgusted by that. Just awful. truly awful. That's all I wrote. I'm still fucking mad about that.
Kirk, maybe it'll snow a foot in Notre Dame for the playoff. That's
We had a snow
hilarious.
game in South Bend today. We got a nice
Yeah.
wintry mix in the second half of that one.
Yeah. That was my first line of note for me. Ohio State on this one was Jeremiah Smith. That was a season high 10 catches for him. Essentially, no Cardell Tate, no problem. It was his 10th scoring catch of the season and 25th of his career, which ties him with Ohio State great Santonio Holmes for 6th on the Buckeyes all-time list. C.J. Donaldson, he continues to eat up goal line touchdowns. He added 2 more today. Ohio State's defense held Purdue to 186 yards of offense. Ryan Brown had a little bit of magic early where he scampered for a first down, and he hit some good passes on playing the long game for the playoffs here or the postseason, and they're going to come in and be a game and a half, 2 games less of snaps on their players compared to almost every team they play. And we're going to see if that works. When Ohio State, you saw that first drive came down with Smith and scored, that was pretty easy. If they need to do it, they can do it. The only thing that kind of frustrated me, when you're going to take these long drives, and they did it at the start of the third quarter, you had a 9-minute drive and then Sayin threw a pick. You go 9 minutes and you don't score, that is a problem against better teams.
Mm-hmm.
So small chinks here and there with the Ohio State armor, but this game was never in doubt. It was never going to be close. Purdue was never going to have a chance. But again, as we continue to say for the Boilers, they fight hard every single week. Barry Odom is going to have this team on the rise. They're going to clip somebody next year when they get more players in and actually can compete with somebody. But they fight hard. Good job for the Boilermakers, putting out a great effort, giving Ohio State some looks that they'll need to continue to work on as they look to pursue a back-to-back national championship.
I have nothing else to add. I had this game on just
there wasn't
betting
really
purposes.
much to add. Bo Jackson, 75 yards on the ground. Isaiah West has some good pop. They continue to utilize 4 running backs, which is befuddling to me a little bit this late in the season. But when you've got a stretch of 3 games that you should just massacre your opponent, I guess you can do whatever the hell you want.
It's true. Next, we had Rutgers 35, Maryland 20. I wondered
Called
aloud-
it. Rutgers win by 2 tutties.
I wondered aloud what Rutgers was favored to win this game, and that's how, I guess. But they tried their best not too early. I foolishly said on the preview show that Malik Washington is not really a runner, and why would I believe that he was? He had 27 carries for 97 or 99 yards entering the game. The first drive of the game, he had a 73-yard touchdown run. He had 164 yards rushing on 8 carries in this game. Rutgers also allowed a 53-yard run to Nolan Ray. But, Clinton, their pass defense was outstanding in this game. Malik Washington was 15 of 28 for 98 yards. I'm not good at math, but that's like 3.8 yards per attempt. That is not good. And on offense, wow, was this a great game for Rutgers. Ethan Kaliakmanis, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns passing. He was picked off twice. But the star of the game, Antoine Raymond, 41 carries, 220 yards and a touchdown. His previous career high was earlier this season against Minnesota. He had 161 yards in that game. Holy moly, Clinton, I think we found your rolling player of the week right there.
I don't know. Emmett Johnson might be coming for that. Here.
That's
He
true.
is
That's true.
Popping off. I believe it was 240. I think you shorted him 20 yards.
Oh,
I had
yeah,
240.
fucked
I
up.
could have written it down wrong. It is
It
the
is
third
240.
highest
It is
yards.
240. I fucked that up.
Third highest yards gained in a Rutgers program history, and Ray Rice holds the top 2. So that's pretty good company for Mr. Raymond. It is also the first time in school history that Rutgers had consecutive 1,000-yard rushers in a season. Obviously, Kyle Monangai, who did it last year. So congratulations to Antoine there. He is going to likely be, I believe, a repeat customer. We had him earlier in the year for Rolling Player of the Week, and unless Emmett Johnson continues on a tear here, I believe Antoine will be getting Player of the Week. You know, I chuckled at this. We said Maryland needed a run game to be able to do something, and well, I didn't expect it to be Malik Washington being the entire run game. Here's the problem for Maryland. You got 83 total yards in the second half. And when you're facing a Rutgers offense who we said can score, that's not going to go very well for you to pull a win on the road. Maryland continues to be winless since September. So September Maryland is a thing. Except they just don't exist in any other months. However, as Mike Loxley said in the postgame, they're a really young team. They fight hard. You got to get players to get around Malik Washington. He's going to give you another year, but I'm telling you, if this kid continues to develop, he will not sit there for a junior year. He will transfer somewhere to go win. You've got to get some players around him. And this Rutgers offense is just fun, man. When their defense can provide a little bit of resistance, this Rutgers offense is fun to watch. Great win for Rutgers. They are 1 win away, I believe, from bowl eligibility.
Yes,
Let's see if they can squeak one more out to get themselves bowling. And I believe Maryland, they're obviously there too. I just don't know if they're going to get there.
Yeah, so Rutgers, they are 5-5. They finish with Ohio State and Penn State. After the way Penn State played today, I don't know if they're going to win one of those games. But
you say that, but this could be, this was the next, is it the straw that broke the camel's back here? It isn't enough. Like they sold out against to beat Oregon, and then they fell off the wagon, and then you thought you had one today, and you just couldn't close it out. So that's a typical Jim Knowles defense for you there.
Yeah. Then for Maryland, that is now their 5th consecutive loss after the 4-0 start. They need to win 2 of their final 3 games against Illinois, Michigan, and Michigan State to go bowling. That is also going to be a tall task there. Last game that we have here that's final right now, again, the Nebraska-UCLA game is going on right now. There is 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Nebraska is driving with a 28-14 lead. We will touch on this on our... Oh, Jesus, and that dude just got smacked. We will touch on this one on Monday's show, but last game we had final here. We had Notre Dame 49, Navy 10. Navy tried to do that thing, Clinton, that every other shitty team that Notre Dame has played this year has tried to do, where they just smash the line to stop the run. And it took only like 2 plays for Mike Denbrock to decide that he was just not going to deal with that and start throwing it over their heads. And it worked out pretty well in this one for the Irish offense. The big story in this one was Navy QB Blake Horvath was a late scratch with a lingering upper body injury he sustained last week. I don't know if he was in a sling on the sideline, but he definitely had a brace around his wrist. And something similar happened last year in this game where he had like a hand injury coming into the game, and they played him and he fumbled it like 3 times without being touched. And then they ended up falling apart in conference play too. So they just sat him in this one. It has no bearing on their American Athletic Conference title hopes. They started Braxton Woodson in his place, and he is not nearly as good of a passer, which limits what they now like to do on offense. And this looked more like the Navy offense of old, where they just run it straight into you 900 times a game. And that didn't really go well in this one. They just did not have a chance. They opened the game with the ball. They punted. Notre Dame went 9 plays, 94 yards, bolstered by a 27-yard pass to Jeremiah Love on the 3rd play of the drive on 3rd and 10. And then the next play, they went 52 yards over the top of everyone to Malachi Fields. Navy did get a nice touchdown drive early in the second quarter, but other than that, the Notre Dame offense pretty much had their way with them in this game. They got 2 touchdowns in like 7 minutes to finish up the second quarter. They opened up the second half with the ball, and Jeremiah Love had a 48-yard touchdown run where he literally was swarmed in the backfield by 4 guys who were unblocked. The guy tried to tackle him, but Jeremiah Love rolled over him and then just ran past everyone. It was fun. CJ Carter was pulled in this game with 1:40 to go in the third quarter when it was 42-10. He finished 13 of 16 for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the backups played the entire fourth quarter, which these are the games I like, Clinton, when I don't have to pay attention to the second half because the game is over.
Aeneas Williams got some play today. 5 carries, 72 yards. Finally see him out there. Doesn't look like Price had any fumbles today, since he had 10 for 47 and a touchdown. So he's back in the good graces of both the Notre Dame staff and the fans. Shout out Braxton Woodson, though. He couldn't pass worth a lick with 3 for 8 for 22 yards, but 23 carries, 101 yards with 1 touchdown. So he gave the best he could give today for Navy. It sucks that Horvath wasn't healthy for this one, but obviously Navy is trying to have bigger fish to fry and trying to win the American and potentially somehow get themselves into the playoff. We shall see.
The G5 playoff situation is a mess right now.
Yeah. It's not as bad as a mess as the ACC, though.
Yeah, the ACC is a
ugh.
I don't know. I don't know if you should even give their champion a bid. That's how bad it is.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess because you got to think, unless Georgia Tech beats Georgia, they're going to be 10-2. They're probably not going to be in the top 12 when you get to conference championship week.
Get
No
a
one
bid
else
stealer.
in the ACC is. Like, I don't think Miami is going to jump back up that high. I mean, it's going to be a bid stealer, but I don't think it's going to be like last year where it was Clemson bid stealing and SMU staying in. I just think whoever wins the ACC, it's going to be like the Big 12 what was last year, where whoever wins the title game is in and the loser is out because they're both like in the 15 to 18 range.
Yep. Oh, Navy. Speaking of the American Conference, Navy sits at 5-1. South Florida 5-1. Tulane, which I believe was your pick, is 4-1. North Texas 4-1, and East Carolina 4-1 in the conference. That is a cluster, you know what? But the ACC, man, you've got 5 teams with 1 loss. 4 of them are 5-1, and then Duke sits at 4-1. Louisville and Miami, 2 of the higher ranked teams, sit there with 2 losses. You have an unranked SMU and unranked Duke, who sit at the top, tied for first. Pretty crazy, man.
Duke, by the way, who lost to UConn today.
Yep, but doesn't hurt them because it wasn't an ACC game.
No.
They are 5-4 on the season. Ryan, can you imagine if they somehow win the ACC and they're 9-4 in the playoff? Woof. This is why I don't want 24 teams in the playoff.
Yeah, that might be the one that breaks someone's brain if that ends up happening.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Shout out Ty Hildenbrandt, though. He said the Pitt Panthers, look at him roll.
It's true.
They're coming for your Irish, man. That's going to be a hell of a doozy. And that one doesn't sting them either because it's not an ACC game if they do lose. So
No, yeah, that's for sure. But I think, hold on, let me pull something up. I think Pitt's pass defense is horrendous. Yeah, they're 95th in pass defense. That's going to be a 500-yard passing game for CJ Carr.
Shire Stadium for that.
That dump, yeah.
Dump, that is the most elite home experience. I'm just kidding. And that's next week. That's right, because he got moved to noon.
I'll be on a fucking airplane.
I will.
If they lose that
sitting
game,
in an
I will
airport
end.
watching that.
If they lose that game, I will end up in federal prison because I will make a scene on an airplane.
Quick note: since you're Mr. Delta Flyer and I have Delta, I got my whatever Fly Delta thing is, and now I have Wi-Fi for Delta,
Nice.
so I'm ready to roll and watch some football on the plane. Man, is
Good for you,
barring
man.
I actually get a flight to go there. So Monday night, rolling player of the week. Quick touch on Nebraska UCLA. I believe, at least for my sake, that is the only time I'm logging on next week because I really don't want to do that for Wednesday night. When my
Shit!
wife's
Yeah, I
gonna
guess we're
take
just
these
doing
3 kids.
Yeah, we're just doing this full-on preview show on Monday.
Yes, because the wife will have the kids for 3 straight days. I am not trying to be up late on Wednesday because I'll have to be up early to get my flight. So we will do our Pick'em show on Monday night, and then that'll be it for us probably till at least Sunday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night. Give Clinton a nice 24 hours back home, and then we'll do a quick recap. We'll see how pretty it is, given that we'll be on the road and I won't have a ton of notes. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's what Sunday morning's for.
But I'm excited for the trip. I hope, fingers crossed, everything flight-wise to and from Oregon.
Oh God,
Get
yeah.
Ryan and I out there and get us home. I don't want to be stuck in Eugene for an extra day or so.
Yeah, I will have a meltdown if I get stranded out in Eugene. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Let me
We'll just go to Dale's house.
Yeah, right. Hey, Dale.
Hey, Dale, can we crash here? Can we record from your place too?
Friday night, Clinton. It is rain late. Shit.
Well, remember our game is 6 to 9, so
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna start raining around 9:30. So
that's
if we get
cool.
rained on
Hopefully
the
we're
way
done.
home, that's fine. Yeah, if we get rained on the way home, that's fine. I don't care.
Faux show.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We'll be back with you guys Monday night for a big ol' preview episode.